Hello, this is Mr. Stephen Willis, the STEAM Program Manager for Chicago Youth Center. Some of you call me Mr. Steve. And in this video, I will be demonstrating some simple functionalities of the free vector design software called Inkscape. It is free. You can download it, and there will be another video to show you how to do that. But in this video, I will show you some simple functionality by creating a basic heart and personalizing it by putting words on the inside of the heart. Okay. So one tip I would like to give to you about using Inkscape is that because it is open source and it's freeware, it can get a little wonky and a little temperamental. So you're gonna have to take your time with it, play around with it, tinker around with it. It's a lot of fun. It's a very powerful program, and you can create a lot of really cool things with it. But today we're just going to do some simple things, and for the purposes of my demonstration, I'm going to just be focusing on a few functions of this software. And so if you look at the screen, you'll see that you have your workspace right here, which is about an 8.5 by 11 sized workspace. At the top here, you have your drop-down menu, and the drop-down menu items we're going to be focusing on today are File. And File will allow us to save, import, and export our objects. Object. The Object drop-down will allow us to transform our object. Path will allow us to group objects together to form one object or take objects apart. Then our Text menu will allow us to obviously put some text and some writing inside of our designs. Also, I want to bring some attention to these windows right here. These are our position and our dimensions window, and it also tells us what measurements we're going to be using to design in. Over here to our left, we have the tools that we're going to use. This is a very important tool right here. It's our picker or select tool. It allows us to do all sorts of cool things with our objects. We won't be able to do those cool things with our objects unless we select it using this tool. We'll probably do something with zooming in and zooming out using this sort of magnifying icon tool. We're going to use our rectangular or square tool, our ellipse or circle tool, and then our text tool down here, which is like this little A. So the first thing we want to do is we want to start off by creating a 4-inch by 4-inch square. So we do this by selecting our rectangle tool, hold down Control, click and drag, and just draw a box. And the reason why we hold down Control is because it lets us draw a square versus a rectangle. So as you can see, if you look up here, that, and I'm going to select my picker tool. As you can see up here, the dimensions on the width and the height are exactly the same, but we're going to change this to inches as I mentioned before. So oh my God, we almost had it exactly right. It's 4.127 by 4.127. So let's lock our aspect ratio. We lock our aspect ratio right here. If we change something in here, it'll change over there. So it's a really fun tool. So I'm going to change that to 4. Type in 4, click enter, and as you can see over here, it changes to. And so now we have a 4-inch by 4-inch square. All right. So the next thing we want to do is we want to draw a, we want to transform this square so that it is on one of its corner. And one way we can do that is by selecting it and going to our objects menu here, go down to where it says transform, and you see that they have the transform window opens up, and it has move, scale, rotate, skew, and matrix. We want to rotate it, and If you guess that we need to rotate this 45 degrees in order for it to be on its corner, you are phenomenal. So we're going to type in 45 here for the degrees, and we're going to click apply, enter, and there it is. Okay, so the next thing we want to do is we want to create a 4-inch diameter circle. So we go to select our ellipse tool, click on that. And again, we want to hold our control and we want to click and drag over so it can make a perfect circle. And then we want to select it, go to our picker tool, select it, and we want to make sure that it has a 4-inch width or 4-inch height. And we can do that by entering 4 in one of these windows, just as we did for our square. And now you can see that we have a circle that has a 4-inch diameter. Diameter is the distance from one edge of the circle to the other through the center. And so now we want to move this 4 inches in diameter over to the upper left edge of our diamond, like so. And one cool way you can move objects is by selecting them and using your arrow key, because in this situation, we want to move this circle. Well. Another way you can do it is by hovering over here and you get like this cross arrow, and that lets you know you can move something, but for whatever reason, it's not allowing me to do that. So we'll go to the next thing. We want to make an exact copy of this circle and put it right over here on the right upper edge of our diamond. And so we select our circle, we do Control C, and then push Control V, and there we have an exact copy of that. So I'm going to use my arrows on my keyboard to move my circle to the upper right, because again, for whatever reason, my mouse is not acting like it wants to help me with this project. Technology sometimes can be interesting. All right. So now we've got these objects that are sort of overlapping each other. And so now what I want to do is I want to select everything by clicking over here, dragging down and over all of my objects to select everything. And now I'm going to go to Objects, Path, right here. And I'm going to unionize everything, thus creating a heart, which is kind of cool, right? And now, oh cool, now I can move my heart around while it's selected and everything. So I made a perfect square with a circle, with two circles with the diameters the same. I intersected them at the appropriate spaces, and I merged them or unionized them, and I created a heart. So there's that. So now the next thing I want to do is I want to personalize my heart. I'm going to add some wording in there. So I'm going to go to my text tool, and I simply dropped a cursor here, and I'm going to put on my cap locks and type Stephen is cool. And that's going to go inside of my box because I am cool. And I'm going to select that and move it appropriately inside my heart. Now, one thing you may be tempted to do with your text tool is create a text box. Text boxes are not good for designing because it's not good for me to use while I'm designing, because that always, I cannot manipulate text boxes. So you see I have this text box right here. And you can type inside a text box and all that, but you can't really do much in the way of just moving around and transforming it like you can just with the cursor and the text just as its own sort of object. So I'm going to get my picker tool again. I'm going to select my text, and I can do some really cool things with my text right now. So I can change the size of it by clicking and holding Control, and I can change it uniformly, or I can change it by playing it up on the vertical side or the horizontal side and putting it over on the vertical side. But I like to change my scale uniformly, so I can hold down Control and do that. I'm going to move that back over. You can see I'm having a hard time moving, so I'll just use my arrows yet again. Scale it down a little bit. Yeah, I think that's cool right there. Now, all right, so now that I have my text object, so like I'm going to go up here to the text. To the text menu, open up my text options and maybe change my fonts. Change it to something kind of cool. Let's see. I like this one right here. Press enter to apply. And I'm going to scale this uniformly again so that, otherwise leave it open. Gets a little bit bigger. So now I'm going to select all my components, and I'm going to go to File, I'm going to go to Save As, and I'm going to type in Stephen's Heart. And I'm going to make sure I save it as an SVG, which stands for Scalable Vector Graphic, which is a great form for this to be in, because it allows me to, say if I want to print this out on the vinyl cutter or the laser cutter, it will really allow me to do that with ease. So if you want to do this project and save it as an SVG and send it to me, when I go and I get ready to print out on the laser cutter or the vinyl cutter, perhaps I'll bring up your heart or whatever object you make, and I'll print it out for you. So hopefully you enjoyed this video. Take care.